Hello there. So, a physician or cleric has just diagnosed you with carpal tunnel syndrome, also known as wizard's wrist, which means a problem with the tunnel in your wrist. What are you gonna do? Do you go straight to the sawbones for surgery or injection? Or is there a way that we can manage these symptoms at home? I'm Dr. Norman, one of the wizards at Fortify Strength, and in this portal message, I will be sharing some tips and strategies that our clerics and artificers have developed to reduce your wizard's wrist symptoms at home. These are all backed by the latest arcana, research, so you can be rest assured that there is no snake oil here. Ready to get started? Let's get fortified. Dealing with wizard's wrist is never easy. It's a sneaky disorder that seems to come out of nowhere. But the roots of the condition come from a long time of doing the same repetitive motions. In fact, it falls under the umbrella of disorders called repetitive stress injuries, or RSIs for short. Many of these conditions have very similar symptoms but different treatment strategies, so it's very important to make sure you are diagnosed properly by a cleric, meaning a physician or a physiotherapist. You don't want to waste time treating wizard's wrist like it's something else. So the first step is to get diagnosed. Once you know that the culprit is indeed carpal tunnel syndrome, then you can move on to dealing with it. In this video, we're going to go over the most effective ways of dealing with wizard's wrist. In order of effectiveness, these are bracing, task modification, and ergonomics, and then stretching and pain relief. Since this is more of an overview, I'll be going over each of them very briefly and give you a few examples of how to implement these strategies for yourself. So right now, the main non-surgical treatment for wizard's wrist that is backed by science is the wrist brace. These are developed by expert artificers to give you support for your wrist to maintain it in neutral position. Neutral position means that the wrist is neither flexed like this or extended like this. And this is because these positions increase the pressure in your carpal tunnel, which can make the symptoms you feel much worse. The most important thing for getting a wrist brace is getting one that fits, one that is comfortable and one that is snug. You want your brace to give you the support and comfort that you need for your unique situation. Our resident artificer, Sal, has made an extensive overview of several wrist braces and how to find the best one for you. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already by visiting this portal right here. It'll go over everything you need to know about braces as well as give you some recommendations for an artificer-approved device for each relevant brace category. On top of bracing, the next thing we'll be talking about is task modification, otherwise known as doing things differently. And it's sometimes combined with the term workplace modification, but they really have the same idea. If you have a repetitive stress injury like wizard's wrist, intuitively, it makes sense to reduce or just stop doing whatever you're doing entirely, but that's difficult, and we understand, because you could be an artist or you could be a data entry computer worker, and sometimes that's your livelihood. And if you stop doing it, that means you're not bringing food on the table, and we can't let that happen. So what I suggest is that we find ways to complete your work, but in a different way. I think many wizards are stuck doing things the way they're used to, forgetting that there are many ways to do the same thing without making your carpal tunnel symptoms worse. Finding alternative methods of performing these tasks will keep you doing what you need to do for longer and hopefully without any pain. If your symptoms respond to these modified movements, that's a good sign. It means that controlling your wrist position is effective at managing your pain, which suggests better outcomes for non-surgical treatment. An example of task modification in the home is to avoid reaching overhead to lift objects with a flexed wrist. Not only does reaching up like this make you flex your wrists more, reaching up means more muscles have to work to support your wrist as you lift. So rather than store your spell components up high, keep them down low at counter level for easy access. Another change which can have a huge effect of your symptoms is your sleeping position. If you sleep on your side like this, right, it can lead to putting more pressure on the nerves that go from the neck down to your wrist. A simple modification for sleeping in this popular side position is to hug a long body pillow to keep you from going into that flexed position. This is also a great modification if you're hiding in fear from a troll in a cave and want to remain silent. The next thing we can do to improve your wizard wrist symptoms on top of bracing and positioning is to use ergonomics. Ergonomics is essentially task modification, except with the use of some sort of specially designed device created by skilled artificers. These devices can make it much easier for you to maintain your symptom-free positions because they are made to support these specific positions as you work. Before we go any further though, I have to set the record straight because this is something I hear over and over again. I hear people saying that this device or that device is good because it puts you in perfect posture. But this is the wrong idea about ergonomics because there's no such thing as good posture or bad posture. Only the time you spend in one posture. Your best posture is your next posture. Write that one down. What that means is that while these devices help you keep your wrists in better position, getting up to take frequent breaks and moving around is going to help you just as much, if not more, than buying a new keyboard, a new chair, or a new mouse. And it's okay if you want to buy that new Secret Labs chair, just move on top of it instead of just buying new stuff all the time. So regardless of if you get an amazing setup, movement is your best friend. I just want to make sure you understand that the most effective thing you can do in terms of ergonomics is to change positions frequently and take mini movement breaks every 30 minutes or so. This is so much more powerful in getting you out of your constrained static posture that contributes to conditions such as wizard's wrist. Don't be a job goblin. Set a timer on your phone as a reminder to move every 20 to 30 minutes just to get yourself moving and loose. The last thing you can do at home for treating carpal tunnel syndrome is pain relief, which includes stretching, massaging, and using ice and heat. If you look at the other portals on this YouTube, you'll find tons and tons of videos for stretches for carpal tunnel syndrome. But I'll give you my super secret wizard tip. Stretches, for the most part, are not curative. They won't fix your condition. If the stretch feels good, then do it. But it shouldn't hurt and it shouldn't make things feel worse. This is not no pain, no gain. There are also things like using massage or ice or heat. And just as before, the most important thing is that the treatment relieves your symptoms, not making it feel worse. When it comes to massaging, some people like to put a little bit of light pressure here in the forearm or even here. Some people also like to do this area, the meaty part of your thumb. There's not a correct or precise way to do this. Just find a spot that's relieving and give it some nice deep pressure. Only thing is, I'd probably avoid massaging over the carpal tunnel itself because, you know, it's called carpal tunnel syndrome, so maybe don't do that. But yeah, whatever works for you in that respect. Now, I was going to put this together with the task modification stuff, but I wanted to put it in last for effect. This might be hard for you to hear because you've probably heard it everywhere else. But the way you live your life may contribute to wizard's wrist. This means that if you aren't getting enough sleep, getting a nutritious diet, staying hydrated, and working on reducing stressful activities, then these are things you can work to improve on. These are things that you have control over that will help your condition. One of these things is physical activity or exercise. Physical activity has plenty of benefits on its own, but in terms of this condition, it has been shown to have a preventive or protective factor in preventing against wizard's wrist. It's almost like casting mage armor on your own wrist. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can even be as simple as taking a long walk. If certain activities work you up or make it feel worse, try to modify the activity and change it instead of avoiding it entirely because it hurts. This condition is tricky, and it might take some time for things to get better. You may have to do things differently, but remember, you're the hero here. You have plot armor. You're in control of your story and where you go from here. So that's about it for this video. Remember that this is simply an overview of all the different things you can do to help treat carpal tunnel syndrome at home. If you found this information to be helpful, or if you have any questions, please leave us a comment down below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you want more specific and detailed information, join our Facebook group, The Wrist Wizards, where we provide tons of free education, strategies, and quests to help you on your journey out of this annoying condition. The link is down below. Remember, good luck, have fun, stay hydrated, and as always, fortify strength.